Part of my 5-year plan to start an orchestra. But I'm very elated and excited, and just being with Matt, a little history. We've been together for 14 years, playing around the world, and to have him part of something like this is really a wonderful experience. And so I'm actually going to introduce Matt right now, just to talk about some of the artistic things that we're doing, and then I'll talk a little bit more about what this means to me and Macon.
Thank you. Thank you, Steve. I hope some of you were at our concert we did at the Cox, right? Is that where it was? I hope who was there at that concert with Amy's wonderful, great. That was a lot of fun. That really started off really as a one-off concert because it was something I wanted to do for Amy and for Steve. But after we did that and we saw the response, we just really over a Starbucks, sorry, I shouldn't say the brand, but maybe there'll be a sponsor at some point. Over a Starbucks, we talked about, wow, what is this something we could possibly do in Macon? And just a really brief background for all you folks. For me, I was the conductor of the Honolulu Symphony Pops in Hawaii for about 10 years, and I now have my own entity there called the Hawaii Pops. I also have an orchestra in Los Angeles called the Glendale Pops, which has been going for about 3 years. Very similar model to what we're bringing to you here. A much more contemporary orchestra model. It's based on orchestra, but it's a little smaller than if you were to go see the symphony, or the Macon Symphony or the Atlanta Symphony. If you were to go see that, you would notice that's a much larger entity. But the difference also is when you go see an orchestra like that, you will likely be going to a concert hall or a performance type venue, and you would come in and sit down and you would enjoy the music, and that would be your evening. Well, what I've done in Hawaii and what I've done in LA and what would like to do here along with Steve is a whole different concept of what an orchestra can be, what a pops orchestra can be. Where you're sitting right now, and this is one beautiful venue. I'm so thrilled to be associated with the folks here. You're going to see, of course, you're going to see the orchestra on the stage, but you're also going to be sitting at tables right down here. You're also going to be seeing dance floors on either side, and you're going to have a bar and food. It's going to be an experience. It's all about having a good time. I like to call it, rather than going to a concert, you're going more to an event that just happens to have a 40-piece orchestra on stage. Which is a wonderful thing, and those of you who know, and obviously you support instrumental music and that type of thing around here, it's so thrilling to be able to do this here because you have such support for that type of performance. So essentially, that's what the evenings are going to be about. We're going to have initially in this season, the first season, we're going to have 3 concerts in our first season, in October, December, and March, and the first concert, to give you an idea, I think that the first concert probably is going to give a really good idea of what we're going to be doing throughout the years. We're calling it Dancing Through the Decades. It's something I've actually done a couple times. I'm thrilled to be bringing here. Basically, we're playing music from Glenn Miller all the way to Carlos Santana, basically. And it's an evening just through the decades of dance music or listening, if you choose to do so. And that's an example of a really good example of the kind of music we'll be bringing. And then in December, we'll be doing our first holiday concert, which will be titled "It's the Holiday Season." That's what it's going to be called. And we are going to be happily involving the community, the youngsters, adults as well, because we're going to be adding a youth choir and an adult choir to your Christmas holiday celebration, but at the same time doing it in a much more contemporary vein. If you can imagine dancing to Jingle Bells, maybe you can kind of think, I mean, maybe not that specifically, but something like that. And then I'm thrilled to say a dear friend of mine who I've written a lot of, by the way, I write all the music that this orchestra and all the orchestras I do, I orchestrate and arrange all the music for these various entities. And I tell you that because basically that allows us to do essentially anything we want to do. If we come up with a theme or come up with an artist maybe that has never performed with a symphony orchestra before, that's something we can do. And so with that, the closing artist of the series is this young lady that I had a chance to write her orchestra book for her back with the Nashville Symphony a couple of years ago, and she has agreed to come here and close our season. It's Jody Messina, the great country artist, Grammy Award-winning country artist. So that's our initial season, which amazes me because I'm thinking about that day at Starbucks was 6 months ago, less than 6 months ago, and here we are with all you great folks talking about the Macon Pops. Here we are. So that's what we're here, and I'm very thrilled to have been working with my good buddy here. Steve and I worked together with the great Rosemary Clooney for many years, and we met when I put a big band together, and we toured the world together, and now he's been playing for me in all my symphony orchestra performances for the past, as he said, 14 years, and now here we are, leading an orchestra together. So I'm so thrilled for that. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for all your support, and here is Mr. Moretti. Thank you.
You know, I've been in Macon now for coming up on 7 years. For those of you who don't know, my wife runs the Robert McDuffie Center for Strings, and so Bobby brought us to Macon. You know, there's been this cultural renaissance that Mercer and the Center for Strings and the Townsend School of Music has been kind of jump-starting, and so I think this adds to that on the other end of the musical spectrum, and I think, you know, making an investment in our community, enriching our cultural and musical heritage. We have such a rich music history, but I want to create new history, and I want people to come to Macon to see top music. You don't have to go to Atlanta, and so I want people to come to Macon, spend their money, stay in hotels, eat our food, and drink our drinks, and come see some of the best music around. And I couldn't be, again, more excited about this. It's still, again, it's just surreal that this is happening. But you know, the support has been really overwhelming. And you know, when I talked to some people after our February concert and just kind of brought the idea, you know, maybe we can do an orchestra here. And people said, well, that February concert was one of the best concerts I've ever seen. And if that just sort of scratches the surface of what you can do. So that was the catalyst behind it. And the support, I need to thank some people. You know, the Marriott